they're pumping up the next war. They've all of a sudden decided, and they're using the same rhetoric, the same fear-mongering terms that, you know what, we've known about this. In Iran, they have this nuclear reactor that they're working, and they're refining nuclear power. The truth is they've had it for a long time, and the UN has known about it, and it's just stirring up fears.
Republican Congressman Ron Paul sees the old military-industrial complex at work behind the recent buildup in tensions with Iran. The military-industrial complex, folks, is the idea that governments form policies and even start wars to assist the well-connected and powerful defense contractors in this country and to pump up the domestic economy for their rating's sake. The judge talked with Congressman Ron Paul earlier today, and the judge joins us now to talk about this. What did he say?
Well, this is a legitimate fear that Congressman Paul has, because the government has known about Iran's nuclear capabilities for a long time. Iran has agreed. I don't defend Ahmadinejad or any of his nuttiness. Don't mistake me. The government of Iran has agreed to allow inspectors to look at the nuclear capability. But the idea that if you don't let the inspectors in, we'll impose sanctions, and if the sanctions don't work, we'll think of something else, is the old idea of scaring people so that they will give up their liberties, so they will let the government wage war, so that the government's patrons can't make money, and so that the government can take more freedom from us. That's Congressman Paul's argument, and he has seen it, and we have seen it all throughout history and in recent history.
Judge, so what? So what if that's the reason they're using fear to monger up support for any sort of military action? We do know that Iran is trying to get the capability to deliver a bomb from either Tehran to Israel or Tehran to the Middle East, other points, or even Europe. So what if the reason we use fear?
Well, the so what needs to be followed with, so what if American young people die? So what if American treasure is lost? So what if the government scares us so that we will give it more power so that it will keep us safe from someone or something that's not really a threat to us? That's Congressman Paul's argument.
But let me stop you right there. That you're assuming that Iran is not really a threat, and I go out and say, but I do think they are a threat.
No, I'm not assuming that they're not a threat. I'm arguing, as Congressman Paul does, that we haven't declared war in Iran. We haven't even declared war in Iraq. We can't fight a war until we declare a war.
Really?
We can't declare a war until someone shoots at us or comes within inches of shooting at us. And Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran haven't done that. That's Congressman Paul's argument. Ancillary to that argument is, just by coincidence, this is what Cody likes because we did it on Freedom Watch today, the government's bankers love when the government goes to war. War is the health of the state, and war is the health of the government's bankers. That's Congressman Paul's argument.
So walk us through that thought process even further. I'm trying to understand the magnitude of the dollars here. I used to fight against welfare programs. Now I'm apparently okay with welfare programs because I'm having to fight for against the redistribution to Wall Street and the corporate America. Am I also supposed to be fighting against the machine of the military complex too?
Unless the machine of the military complex, as you call it, the people who fund the war, the people who sell to the government the items that the soldiers use, unless that is being used in a legitimate, valid, moral, lawful war, yes, you do have to fight against it. And yes, it is another burden on your shoulders. And it should be a burden on everyone's shoulders who believes that the Constitution should be enforced, which means you can't fight a war until you declare it.
So, Judge, then do you agree that the proper way to do all of this, so we're not just fear-mongering for the sake of fear-mongering, that we legitimately know that they have nuclear weapons? You want us to prove that they have the capability to create a nuclear weapon?
Well,
how are we going to do
again,
that?
I'm summarizing.
People don't want to have another Iraq where we're saying we think they have weapons of mass destruction, and then they're not there. We don't want that, but we also, hold on, we also don't want them to also have the capability. We're sitting around wondering, do they? And then the next thing we know, they already have it.
Congressman Paul has argued that the Iraq war was immoral and unconstitutional and therefore unlawful. because there was a pretext for it, that they had yellow cake uranium that they got from Niger, which they never got. He doesn't want the same thing to happen again.
Right, so what do we do then? How do we prove it with beyond a reasonable doubt?
Well, even if they did have nuclear material, it wouldn't, in Congressman Paul's view, and in mine under the Constitution, it wouldn't justify us shooting them or firing the first shot.
But Judge, what if Iran does, in fact, end up with a bomb and you know, hit one of our allies in the Middle East, and we go, well then, yeah, you know, a little late now.
Well, morally and legally, why is Iran not allowed to have, and again, I don't defend Ahmadinejad, he's crazy. Well, why could one government have a weapon and another can't?
Because one government's crazy and the other, but
and the other's our ally.
Well, some people would argue that the present government in the United States is untrustworthy of such a weapon.
Republican, Democrat, violent regime in power right now is my enemy, guys. Thank you, Judge. I think they're your enemy, too.
Pleasure.